Good evening. Thank you for joining me virtually tonight for the 2020 State of the City presentation. I would like to begin by inviting Pastor Cam Huxford from Compassion Christian Church to lead us in a word of prayer. Pastor Huxford.
Father, we're so thankful that we can be together like this. Lord, we're thankful for this technology. We're thankful, Lord, for the way it's enabled our city to continue to thrive, Lord, even through these trying times. Father, we're thankful for the leadership that's on this call today. Lord, we know that everything rises and falls on leadership. And Father, we're just so reminded of those men in the Old Testament, men and women, from Issachar, who understood the times and knew what to do. And we pray, God, that you would continue to bless us with that kind of leadership here in Savannah. Bless our mayor. Pray, God, that you would bless all the folks who support him, bless our police chief, Lord, and all the good folks who create an environment for us that's safe and strong. Father, we just pray that your favor will be on our city and that your wisdom will be in our leaders. And Father, your grace will be on us all. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor Huxford. We appreciate your leadership and we appreciate you joining us today.
Glad to do it. Yeah.
Thank you. We now have some special guests to lead us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that, young people. When I was sworn in as the 67th mayor of Savannah 9 months and 20 days ago, or actually 294 days ago, but who's counting? Our city and our world were very different places. We weren't talking about COVID-19. We weren't talking about masks. We weren't talking about unprecedented times. Georgia's first confirmed COVID-19 case was recorded in early March. By April, we had more than 100 cases in Chatham County, and numbers really started climbing in June and July. To date, Chatham County has had more than 9,100 confirmed COVID-19 cases, and more than 100 people have died. More than 100 people in our community. More than 180 of our neighbors, our friends, our mothers, our fathers. Let us honor them now with just a brief moment of silence. Thank you very much. And please remember their families and loved ones in prayer as well. Despite this virus altering our day-to-day life, the city of Savannah has continued to make strides and make good on some of the promises that we made during the inauguration. Remember, it's only been 9 months and 20 days. But what a 9-month, 20-day period it has been. Let us take a look back at the year that was and the year that is.
These are and continue to be extraordinary times. It is hereby declared that a local state of emergency exists and shall continue until the conditions requiring this declaration are abatement and emergency measures to stem the rapid spread of COVID-19.
Mayor Johnson, along with City Council, quickly reacted to the pandemic. Safety and security top of mind, top of action. The free flow of information, transparency, was the cornerstone of Savannah's response.
We are working to find creative solutions to help our business community navigate new health and safety requirements
requirements and recover losses. We recognize that Georgia, whether we like it or not, is open for business.
Weekly media updates, weekend status reports in English, Spanish, and American Sign Language, keeping the public informed.
Buenos días.
Please heed the concerns of government and public health officials who want nothing more than to
Gubernatoriales
protect
y el personal de la salud pública.
The best way to get the most up-to-date information is to visit the city's website, savannahga.gov.
Throughout the pandemic, Savannah has reached out to create and even strengthen existing partnerships.
Every day we are feeding 1,800 people who are struggling to remain living at home, and so that is we consider that an essential service.
We serve 10 of our community centers and 3 senior centers, and so that's close to 800 meals a day.
We're trying our best to change our business model so that we can support our partners like the city, but also take care of the clients that we're serving in their home.
We were asked by the city manager if we would be interested in possibly producing meals for the homeless. It feels really good. We hope to continue because the mayor's very big on this, taking care of the homeless, so we're trying to help them out.
Savannah opened its doors to the Chatham County Health Department. In June, the city's Civic Center becoming a safe, air-conditioned, central hub for COVID testing.
The City of Savannah Police have been just phenomenal in helping us get the cars queued. They're helping us get the right number of cars in the building at a time.
They are putting themselves at risk every day, and so my hat's off to them, and anything we can do to help, we're going to try to do.
The Savannah Fire Department's role is to make sure that the air quality inside of this building with the vehicles coming in stays at healthy levels. And we're going to make sure that these readings stay within parameters. It's very important for us as public servants to make sure that we network with people, individuals, and organizations like this so that in times of need and crisis that we have that connection, that we can get the help that we need and we can provide the help to them should they need it.
COVID testing extended to 2 local churches, Kingdom Life on Savannah's south side and Temple of Glory on the west side. This was a partnership with New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo, the Empire State sending us equipment and nurses to work with local volunteers to COVID test.
Everyone here has been very appreciative that we're here. They're surprised to see that we're here from New York. Us, the whole team that's here is a contingent from New York.
Mayor Johnson said the other day that love is an action word. And here we are, New York loves Savannah.
All the PPE we could possibly need. We've got hand sanitizer and gloves and gowns and masks and N95s. And
everybody that comes through these doors is gracious and grateful. I am in awe and delight with the people of Savannah.
Our city's partnerships becoming banner moments, literally. 15 banners throughout the city highlighting some of the individuals and servant teams going above and beyond during this major pandemic.
Gun violence is the thing in our community, and so we are addressing it head on.
Unrelated to COVID-19, the city's partnership with Crime Stoppers strengthening.
This new campaign is a prime example of achieving more with partners by targeting a major issue in our community, specifically gun violence.
And more steps by the city to work to curb homelessness.
When we talk about chronic homelessness, we talk about transitional homeless. And so hopefully this plan, again, if there's more housing stock, it creates opportunities for us to deal with those that may be transitionally homeless. On the other end, we're working with our homeless providers to deal with the chronically homeless.
We've partnered with the Chatham-Savannah Authority for the Homeless and private and public entities to form a task force specifically focused on major homelessness issues.
This is a transformative project that will invigorate this local community and bridge the invisible gap between the west side and the downtown core.
This will push streets, it'll push trail networks, and it'll push development farther to the west. connecting really our historic district with some of our greatest neighborhoods on the west side, places like Carver Village and Cloverdale. And it'll really serve as a bridge and a new public offering.
The Anchor project is well underway in the Canal District. The Savannah Arena will consist of 3,100 tons of steel, 70,000 square feet of brick facade. It's a 215,000 square foot arena scheduled to open in first quarter of 2022.
To see that this place will soon have almost double is people working here every single day, to watching our citizens see this rise out of the ground, but more importantly, to see people who live in this community, who live in the city of Savannah, businesses that operate here, to all have a part in building this.
Today we have 55 people on the job site. By this time next year, we'll have 250 to 300 people on the job site.
To see a man bring his son here one day and say, you know, I helped build that, to me is the crowning achievement of a community, that people can say they had a hand in building that. We're going to make this table bigger, because for years we've had the same folks sitting at the same table, and there were people sitting there at the kiddie tables watching everybody else eat. Everybody at this table called Savannah will bring their best to the table, because we will all eat better. So this table of Savannah is going to be expanded. Transparency, accountability, and inclusion. Advocates for restorative communities in Savannah.
People, once they have a criminal record, if they have a good job, they don't get in trouble anymore. They're less likely to reoffend.
By connecting them to resources and assisting them in their reintegration efforts.
Hola. Hola Savannah will educate Savannah's Hispanic and Latino community about the city's government operations and services to build trust and involvement with Savannah's Hispanic residents.
This task force is willing to accept the challenges, be held accountable, and also deliver a product that this city will be proud of.
People should have decent, affordable housing that meets their income. We want all Savannahans to feel at home here.
It is about diversity, inclusion, and unity.
We are your teachers, we're your doctors, we're your first responders, we are your friends, your neighbors.
We are an LGBTQ-focused intersectional commission created by our city that is dedicated to ensuring that its lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, asexual, intersectional, and queer communities can work and live in a welcoming and safe environment.
Racial Equity and Leadership Task Force, or REAL Savannah.
We want to build as close as possible the beloved community. Everyone is treated fairly and with respect, and everyone has maximum opportunity to reach their potential.
Savannah cares. Citizens accountability and review of emergency services.
So we see this as a great opportunity for us to be able to educate, but we also realize this is also an opportunity for us for consultation with members of the task force and members of our community.
This is an opportunity for us to, again, proactively ensure that we're hearing, and it's an opportunity for us to not only be educated, but also to educate the public. Savannah's faith-based partnership, which represents the intersection of the city of Savannah and our very vibrant, very diverse faith community. We will call this partnership with the Savannah Regional Central Labor Council Working in Savannah.
Simply put, workers deserve to share in the wealth that we create.
Where we will work together to ensure better work, pay, and benefit opportunities for Savannahans through apprenticeship and job training programs that these affiliates already do so well.
So this is the investment that people have been asking for, and now you see the return on the investment. Pavers out, you have the new curbing, you have the new streetscape, as it would call, and when it's finished, you appreciate what you see when you turn off of Martin Luther King onto Broughton Street. It's inviting.
But really, this park is a testament to the power of a neighborhood association that comes together and worked in a productive partnership with the city to have this new park right here in this beautiful scenic place. This was a SPLOST project that is only made possible with the generous support of the community. So just a penny sales tax makes projects like this happen, brings it to life, and just is an awesome product, and you see the result today.
It will really improve the morale of the firefighters and the morale of the citizens, and they want to be able to come here and make sure that the people who service them, these firefighters, have the tools necessary and the facility necessary so they can do a good job.
So what better way to increase the value of your home and the quality of life is to have a park in your backyard. For the quality of life, we all understood in Savannah it's a dense area, and God is not making any more land. And so we got to utilize and be creative of the land that we have that we can use. And it's just fortunate we get to enjoy this amazing park. Kids get to exercise.
Now we have the parking lot, we have the playground in the back, we have the pavilion. We have things out here for the neighborhood kids and for other folks that just want to come out and enjoy and relax at the park. Now we've got a spot for people that want to kayak, people that want to come out and walk, people that just want to enjoy the beauty of the park and the lake itself and just be around nature.
The Summerside Playground is a place where youth can come. Youth and families can come and gather. And in a time in which we live right now, a place like the new Summerside Park is a place of peace, a place where recreation and opportunities and gatherings and family meetings can happen here on this playground.
Wow. It's only been 9 months and 20 days. But certainly you can see that we're engaged in a lot of work, and particularly with our task force, in which we're able to have over 200 Savannahans working on things that are important to them. And I promise you, there are many more to come. Tonight, I'm honored to be blessed, and honored and blessed to be joined by our city manager, Patrick C. Monahan, who will give us his annual report. Pat?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening to all those listening tonight. In accordance with the City of Savannah's charter, the city manager must deliver an annual report on the finance and administrative activities of the city. While I had planned to present this report earlier in this year, particularly around March, COVID-19 rapidly changed all of our plans. And thus, because of COVID-19, the tone and scope of this report have changed as well. This presentation should take about 10 minutes, and I promise not to bore you with a bunch of numbers. The three most important takeaways will be: 1, the accountability and transparency that local government finances must follow; 2, where to find financial information for those who want a closer look; and 3, an overview of the state of the city's finances and future challenges. All of us work with finances in our daily lives. While many of the general concepts are the same, whether for an individual, family, or business budget, local government budgets and finances differ greatly. Unlike individual, family, and business budgets, local governments must adhere also to national and state regulations to maintain accountability and transparency. This process begins with budget preparation, legislative approval, including public hearings, implementation of the budget into service delivery, and then concludes with accounting and reporting requirements. The City of Savannah's finances are constructed upon the building blocks of national and state regulations. The Government Accounting Standards Board, which all states and local governments follow for financial reporting. Local governments in Georgia must also comply with Georgia law through Title 36, Chapter 81 on budgets and audits, and Title 48, Revenue and Taxation. Title 36 of Georgia law also includes requirements for an annual independent review of the city's financials, which are reported each year in the city's comprehensive annual financial report, which I'll discuss more in depth later. In addition, the city's charter also requires certain standards for local and budgeting financial administration. Based on the building blocks of accountability and transparency, the results are an annual budget and service plan with the year-end annual financial review to ensure the accounting and reporting comply with federal and state law. Here's a snapshot of the fiscal year 2020 budget. As you can see, fiscal year 2020 began in January with balanced budgets of $425 million across all funds without any draw from reserves. With the adoption of the millage rollback rate of 12.739 mils by this city council in September, the property tax rate has actually now decreased 0.661 mils during the past 2 years. Not shown, but the 77 days of undesignated fund balance reserves serve as another indicator of financial stability and strength. Now let me talk a moment about the 2019 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, often referred to by the acronym CAFR. On the subject of any government's fiscal health, this is the go-to source. For citizens who want to know more about the financial details of the City of Savannah's financial state, go to the city's webpage and type CAFR into the I'm looking for button at the top right side of the page. In fact, all CAFRs dating to 2002 are available online at this site. The CAFR is a financial and compliance audit of each fiscal year that an outside independent auditing firm completes. City Council contracts with the firm of Malden & Jenkins, CPAs, for this service. Malden & Jenkins is a national firm that serves more than 500 state and local governments, including 128 other cities. In summary, Malden & Jenkins presented the City Council with a clean opinion. To quote the independent auditor's report, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the city. In other words, a clean opinion. In large part, the city's financial stability can be attributed to its financial stewardship. David Maxwell leads the financial services team, which manages the revenue office, accounts receivable, and payables, and preparing for the annual audit, among other responsibilities. Melissa Carter leads the Office of Management and Budget team, which manages the preparation of the budget and service plan, budget controls and spending, grants administration, and capital plan, among other responsibilities. These are two highly regarded professionals with decades of collective experience. They are intentional with a conservative approach to local government finances, including in projections of revenues and expenses, and the controls to maintain fiscal responsibility to yield these results. This means that the forecasting and revenues and projections of expenditure within the budget year out hits the mark year after year. In fact, I was looking at the 2018, and between the two of them, they targeted within 1% of the actuals. Quite amazing. Because of them, it's no accident that the city has the distinction of one of the longest running streaks in America of earning the prestigious Government Finance Officers Association Awards for excellence in financial reporting and excellence in budgeting. These are the highest accolades for local government financials. Fewer than 3% of the local governments in America earn both of these awards annually. As testament to the city's financial stewardship, the City of Savannah has earned AA1 and AA bond ratings from Standard & Poor's and Moody's, which rate about 90% of the public and private transactions in America. These ratings are among the best of similar sized governments in Georgia. While I don't usually read slides, let me read the Standard & Poor's November 5th, 2019 rating report about the City of Savannah. In our view, the financial condition is supported by a very strong framework of financial management, reflecting the city's history of conservative budgeting, long-term planning, and maintenance of sufficient reserves to address contingencies. That report was written November 5th, 2019. S&P's assessment proved especially prophetic because of COVID-19. Beginning in late March 2020, the world changed for all of us with the arrival of COVID-19. In particular, the city's general fund, its principal operating fund, which was balanced at $208 million at the start of the year, suffered lost revenue because of shelter-in-place orders, reduced spending, employment reductions, and significant decreases in visitor spending. The city staff expected a downturn in the economy to begin in mid-2020 and had only budgeted a 1.5% increase in the general fund, so the losses are not as severe as with an optimistic forecast. As the chart shows, projections of sales tax revenue, the city's second largest revenue source, will suffer a year-end loss of $2.5 million. Likewise, projections show that hotel motel tax paid by visitors, the city's third largest revenue source, will suffer a year-end loss of $4.3 million. Projections also show at year-end, the largest revenue source, real and personal property taxes, will suffer a loss of $3.5 million. This reduction can largely be attributed to a collection rate down from the typical rate of 90% to 86%, which is the same basis as the 2008 economic downturn. Other losses in fees and fines reflect similar tracks. During the mid-year financial update to council, the headline the following day read, "City deficit at $13.2 million." The variance in anticipated revenue became clear evidence of COVID-19's impact on the city of Savannah. The Office of Management and Budget, Office of Financial Services, and I presented a rebalancing strategy that recommended options and tiers. That's T-I-E-R-S. I almost thought to spell it T-E-A-R-S. Because of the city's sound financial position, avoiding furloughs and reduction in force can be tiers of the last resort. I'm pleased to announce that the $13.2 million deficit has been reduced by $8.2 million through organizational reductions achieved by implementing Tier 1 strategies. At tomorrow's City Council workshop, Mrs. Carter, Mr. Maxwell, and I will introduce a plan to reduce the remaining projected $5 million deficit to ensure the year-end budget remains balanced. To describe these times as challenging understates the impact of COVID-19 beyond dollars and cents. To us, our families, friends, and neighbors, while we know that we are not at the end of the journey, please be assured that an experienced budget and finance staff are prepared for whatever comes next. In closing, let me extend my sincerest appreciation to David Maxwell and Melissa Carter and their teams for their exemplary work. And as always, I say a heartfelt thank you to all City of Savannah employees for continuing to serve our community. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Monahan, for your presentation. And on a personal note, I want to thank you so much for your leadership. You came to us for only a couple of months. You stayed with us 18 months, and you have been a guiding light. You certainly have shown your over 40 years of professionalism, and I want you to know that Savannah is forever grateful for your leadership, and we wish you the best as you re-enter the happy land of retirement, and we thank Mrs. Monahan for allowing you to be with us this long. Thanks so much, Pat.
Thank you.
To the Honorable Estella Edwards Shabazz, Mayor Pro Tem, to the Honorable Keisha Gibson Carter, Chairwoman of Council, to the Honorable Nick Palumbo, Vice Chairman of Council, to the Honorable Alicia Miller Blakely, Alderwoman at Large, Post 2, to the Honorable Bernetta Lanier, Alderwoman District 1, to the Honorable Dietrich Leggett, Alderman District 2, to the Honorable Linda Wilder Bryant, Alderwoman District 3, and the Honorable Curtis Pertee, Alderman District 6, to City Manager Pat Monahan, to City Attorney Bates Lovett, to City Clerk Mark Massey, to the most outstanding core of public professionals that the world has ever known, and that is the City of Savannah employees, and to my fellow Savannians. In the book, The Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens coined the memorable phrase that it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. I think we can agree that 2020 was the worst and is the worst of times, but because of a Savannah spirit, a spirit that refuses to die or quit or give up. And in spite of these things, through our collective love of resiliency and sustainability, This will lead ultimately to the best of times. Ladies and gentlemen, the state of our city is strong, resilient, persevering, and persistent. To sum it up, we are still here. We are still here. Slide, please. In January, I prepared Savannah's table for guests representing all aspects of our community. I said that this table was going to stand on legs of transparency, accountability, inclusion, and trust. Your council and your city has used these qualities to guide our decisions and our work for the 9 months and 20 days since. If you're going to hold us accountable, you need to know what's going on. And we need to make sure that public processes are accessible. Slide, please. As promised, the City Council moved quickly to reduce our meeting schedule from 26 to 24 meetings a year and to hold our second meeting each month in the evening. This gives working people and students a better opportunity to see their government at work. Despite the pandemic moving us to virtual council meetings, we made sure you could still attend and interact. These meetings were streamed live on the City of Savannah's Facebook page, YouTube, and SG Channel 8. Our Information Technology Department and City's Clerk's Office found new ways to accept citizen feedback through email and to let those wanting to share their comments in person to join our meetings virtually. Slide, please. City departments like planning and urban design, parking services, and community services use digital surveys to gather resident opinions about proposed projects, providing residents at large a seat at Savannah's table. Slide, please. I instituted 3 new opportunities each week for you to learn about what's happening in your city government. Tuesday news conferences, Friday night live videos on my Facebook page, that is at Mayor Johnson SAV, at Mayor Johnson SAV, where you can interact directly with me, and we have several hundred people join us every Friday, and of course our Saturday morning video updates on city operations. You, our residents, have a seat at our city's table. By interacting directly with us, you can hold us accountable for the actions of your city government. Now, we strive to share as many updates as possible in English, Spanish, and most recently, American Sign Language. Accessibility is the key to making sure all groups at Savannah's table have the same opportunity to participate. We will continue to get better and do better over the next year. Slide, please. Our newly designed city website, savannahga.gov, that matter of fact won an award last night for the best in Savannah from Connect Savannah, so yay to our team, allows you to find information quickly. It's easy to navigate, and it's the most commonly searched items like contacting 311, reaching your mayor, or alderperson, and city news are right on the home page, increasing both transparency and accountability. Our sanitation and code enforcement teams are using new software to improve customer service. The new sanitation route management program tracks truck locations and progress and improves reporting of damaged carts, uncollected items, and downed tree limbs and special waste collections. Updated code enforcement software enhances the ability to report and track the enforcement status of violations citywide. An upgraded 311 system will provide a higher level of accountability for service requests or complaints. The new software works on a computer and a smartphone app. You'll be able to track progress and receive confirmation when the service is completed. Being able to properly track the efficiency and the completion of these services ensures equitable service delivery to all districts. Next slide, please. Project completion is probably the most tangible representation of accountability. As of October the 1st, just 20 days ago, our infrastructure and development team has completed 17 capital projects, and another 6 are almost finished. Some $260 million worth of projects are in construction, including the Savannah Arena, the Public Works Complex, the Gwinnett Street widening, the Broughton and DeLessem streetscapes, the Hollins Fire Station, and 3 community centers. Team Savannah has resurfaced more than 16 lane miles of road and repaired 10,300 linear feet of sidewalk and more than 1,600 potholes, all during a pandemic. Looking ahead, the public engagement process for Project Durin will start in the next couple of weeks. This $90 million project, long overdue to get started, ranks as the highest transportation need in the city and the second largest municipal project in our city's history. This is a major project that will transform the quality of life for so many of our residents. Now, I'd be remiss not to recognize the past and present elected officials and civil servants who made this project possible. We're all on a continuum in this. We work together and we pass it on from one group to the next. Next slide, please. We not only want to increase the opportunity to engage within the city, but we also want to expand who is participating. The opinions heard in the past have not always been representative of everyone in our city, and we are working hard to change that. Inclusion of everyone living in our city, those who have been at the table for a long time and those who have never been invited before, has already been a hallmark of this administration and of your city council. Next slide, please. Your city council has made homelessness and housing a priority. The city of Savannah allocated $3.3 million received in CARES Act funding round 1 to the United Way to ensure that Savannians did not lose their homes or because of lost income related to the COVID-19 pandemic. So far, we have helped nearly 2,000 City of Savannah residents with past-due mortgages, rent, and utility bills, and we've prevented at least 126 evictions. And we still have about 1.5 million left to give. I've worked with the council to create Housing Savannah, a 37-member task force to work with the city's Housing Services Department to develop a comprehensive housing affordability plan for our city. This plan will help bolster and guide the work that Housing Services is already doing to provide safe and affordable housing for Savannahans. This year, they've done $37.8 million worth of home construction, purchasing, and repairs. 93% of that funding came from the private sector to make these 442 projects possible. The city has entered into partnerships with 6 homeless agencies to fund 9 programs for $2.7 million to lend a hand up and not a hand out to the homeless and the circumstantially homeless in our city. We believe that no one in Savannah should be without a roof over their head. And we're working over these last 9 months and 20 days to get to that point. We've increased city contributions to the Savannah Affordable Housing Fund from $150,000 to $500,000, and the fund received an additional $100,000 from the private sector. And that was from the last administration, and we've continued that work. Every $1 contributed to the Savannah Affordable Housing Fund has leveraged an average of $8 in other housing investments. So for $1, we're getting $8 more. Next slide, please. The final phase of construction for the Savannah Gardens started in September, which will add 85 new mixed-income apartments to the development. The city funded $1.5 million in public improvements and infrastructure, while Mercy Housing will be investing $7.6 million. The city's sale of land on Drayton Street will provide some 40 units of new workforce housing. The city also transferred 10 properties, 3 for transitional housing for homeless families in partnership with Family Promise of Greater Savannah. 2 properties will be historically renovated through partnership with the Historic Savannah Foundation, and 5 units will become mixed income housing. We have to do this together. We have to find partners. We have to build mutually beneficial relationships. Savannah is also one of only 4 communities in the state to win a 2020 Georgia Tech Georgia Smart Communities Challenge grant. This $50,000 grant will allow Savannah's Housing and Neighborhood Services and Information Technology departments to work with Georgia Tech researchers to develop and evaluate data-driven tools for housing, neighborhood, and community planning initiatives. Next slide, please. We also want to foster community pride in our existing neighborhoods. So our sanitation department partnered with neighborhoods to host district-wide cleanups across the city. And you've seen them, and our aldermen and alderwomen have been rocking this initiative. The 3rd district under Alderwoman Linda Wilder Bryant sponsored Rock the Block. The 5th district under Alderwoman Estella Shabazz hosted the Fabulous 5th Cleanup. And the 1st district under Alderwoman Bernetta Lanier organized West Side Fights Dirty. Other district cleanups will follow in the coming months. We're going to help clean up our city. We need you to help it stay that way. Next slide. Now, we know that our neighborhoods are made up of individuals, and most people in our city need a job to maintain an appropriate quality of life. Savannah's unemployment rate reached a low of 2.7% in December 2019 and began to climb steadily before reaching a peak of 15.3 in April during the COVID-19 pandemic. So imagine that, from December to just 4 months later, from 2.7% to 15.3%. The most recent data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows a rate of 6.4%, and we believe that that is in no small part thanks to efforts by the city to reopen Savannah's economy safely. In May, the city worked with local businesses and tourism groups to develop a plan to open Savannah's economy and ensure health and safety in their places of business. By taking the Savannah Safe Pledge, businesses in our community committed to help to stop the spread of COVID-19, and hundreds of Savannah area businesses responded in the first few hours. To further our commitment to Savannah's small business community, the city allocated $2 million received in CARES Act funding to the Small Business Assistance Corporation to help small businesses in the city of Savannah recover losses due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But our efforts didn't stop there. We recognize that restaurants are extraordinarily affected by COVID-19. And we just found out last week that Governor Brian Kemp decided kind of unilaterally to take the money we had already specified for rounds 2 and 3 to use that for the unemployment tax fund. We know the unemployment tax fund is important, but the fact of the matter was we had plans to make sure to help our businesses. And I commit to you, we're going to find a way to help our businesses regardless of what the state does. We're going to go hard for our city. We're going to go hard to pay for our city. And we're going to do all we can to help our businesses get over that hump. So more on that later. We'll figure out a way to get it done. Next slide, please. So in response, and as a part of our Resilient Savannah plan, we expanded outdoor dining permitting to help restaurants expand capacity while safely social distancing. Our Office of Special Events, Film and Tourism issued permits for 44 parklet seating areas. We understood that Savannah's tax dollars remaining local would be essential for saving Savannah's economy. So I introduced Savannah First, a new pilot program to boost our local economy in light of COVID-19. We knew that many businesses and individuals would have a difficult recovery ahead, and we needed a new, aggressive plan that would help the city spend dollars locally and employ local people when searching for proposals, bids, and contractors. Savannah First is a year-long pilot program and includes initiatives like local preference when soliciting bids and requests for proposals, or RFPs, a contractor and training program, and the reintroduction of a local minority or women-owned business enterprise MWBE certification. We also focus on hiring locally and insisting on hiring locally for the Savannah Arena project. Job fairs hosted by AECOM Hunt this year focused not only on meeting the required percentage of disadvantaged businesses' participation, but also prioritizing local companies and workers. We are also focused on how we can create new, better paying jobs by partnering with the private sector. Your city council also approved a major economic development project as a public-private partnership among the City of Savannah, the Savannah Economic Development Authority, and the Rockingham Farms to create good-paying jobs in our city. This project will initiate a funding source to infuse $7 million annually into the city's tax reserves over 20 years to help fund new Savannah initiatives. More than that, the city is investing in creating qualified applicants for these jobs. The city will be funding 100 scholarships for Savannah residents only to Savannah Technical College for every $1 million square feet of warehouse distribution and e-commerce fulfillment centers built at Rockingham Farms. This should generate between 1,500 and 2,000 jobs with starting wages averaging at $32,000 annually. This is community benefits at its best. Even if they're not looking to work on a specific project or site, the city is improving workforce readiness and providing employment assistance. Next slide, please. This year, the city helped 271 unemployed or underemployed adults and 254 youth receive soft skills and workforce training, and the city hosted job fairs that helped 1,028 adults find employment. Could you imagine what we could have done if we were not in the pandemic? But we're also focusing on inspiring and developing a new wave of entrepreneurs in our city. Our Economic Development Department has hosted more than 50 business courses this year, most of them online due to COVID-19 restrictions. These free classes are helping entrepreneurs and small businesses in our city boost their skills and knowledge with courses like business plan writing and credit building. I've also partnered with our local labor community through my Working Savannah Task Force to make sure we can get as many Savannians as possible connected to good jobs through apprenticeships and other opportunities. We've long known that poverty is a problem in our community, and these initial steps have not solved the problem. But this has taken us in the right direction to improve the lives of thousands of Savannians. I believe that just because someone is born into poverty into our community does not mean they have to let this cycle continue forever. You might be in poverty, but you don't have to have a poverty spirit. And I want you to know, we see you, we feel you, you matter, and your city is going to work like hell to make sure that you get up out of poverty. I'm sorry. In total, Human Services has helped provide city-funded community partnership programs that connected 31,254 residents to all kinds of needed services. The best way to determine what services a specific group needs is by talking to people in those communities. Next slide, please. Our proud Savannah Task Force was instrumental in updating Savannah's non-discrimination ordinance to better protect our LGBTQ+ citizens just weeks after its formation. This group is actively working with the city to increase Savannah's Human Rights Campaign Municipal Equality Index. While it's not all about the grades on a report card, the grades do tell us if we're doing what we need to do to make LGBTQ citizens realize that they are welcome, loved, and appreciated in our community. Our nation has experienced a reckoning with well-documented violent encounters between minorities and police officers, and this has tugged at the hearts of everyone. In response, and I think it was on May 31st, I formed Savannah Cares, or the Citizens Accountability and Review of Emergency Services Task Force. This group has already submitted a status report and interim recommendations to the Savannah Police Department and the city manager for consideration. These 12 recommendations are just part one of this committee's review of the police department's use of force policy, internal affairs reports, and public input. Next slide, please. Prior to receiving these recommendations, I'm pleased to announce that the Savannah Police Department had already taken proactive steps to update its use of force policy. In June of 2020, the department became aware of the 8 Can't Wait campaign. After reviewing the policy adoptions proposed by the campaign, the Savannah Police Department was found to be in compliance. After combing through our use of force policy, the department decided also to suspend the training and use of what's called the bilateral neck restraint. Chokeholds and strangleholds were already prohibited by SPD policy. The change aligned the department's policies and procedures with 21st century policing practices, community expectations, and the department's values. In August, the department also graduated its first class of officers from a new course called EPIC, or Ethical Policing is Courageous. It's a peer intervention program that teaches officers how to intervene to stop a wrongful action before it occurs. EPIC educates, empowers, and supports the officers on the streets to play a meaningful role in policing one another. All future recruit classes will receive this training, and it will be extended to current members of the department as well. A hallmark of the Savannah Police Department has been positive community relations, and we want this to continue. And we want to set up our professional law enforcement officers for success with policies that are community and department driven. Thank you so much to the men and women of the Savannah Police Department. Next slide, please. We also need to understand that justice-involved individuals have not always had a seat at Savannah's table. And truth be told, if many people were caught for some of the things they did, they would be justice involved too. We believe that every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. And so in that thought, the ARCs, or Advocates for Restorative Communities in Savannah, has helped sponsor a conference to assist justice-involved individuals to navigate re-entry barriers and assess community support. You can't solve a problem if you don't talk about it. And racial equity has long been the elephant in the room in Savannah. Well, we're going to talk about it. Real Savannah, or the Racial Equity and Leadership, is already meeting and gathering data as they work to identify, prioritize, and tackle the solid disparity issues in our city. Our 64th mayor, Dr. Otis Johnson, who is also a noted social scientist, is leading this initiative. He is the right leader with the right tenacity and the right resume to make sure that meaningful change happens. And our city is indebted to him for his continued service. Next slide, please. We all know our faith community in Savannah is strong, but that power has never been actively harnessed by partnering with the city. Savannah's faith network of religious leaders, and we're talking about ministers, we're talking about rabbis, we're talking about imams, we're talking about priests, we're talking about temple leaders. They have created best practices and recommendations for houses of worship to provide services safely during COVID-19. Most of them have decided to remain closed during this period. And to be honest with you, part of the reason why our numbers are as good as they are is because these religious leaders had taken the lead in ensuring that their churches, their mosques, and their synagogues, and their temples remain closed. However, are using technology to get their services across. They've also not held large services, gatherings, weddings, and funerals within their houses of worship, and I thank them for that. Beyond that, a group of faith leaders from that task force created another group, which was called RISE. RISE stands for Religious Institutions Supporting Education, and they are supporting students who are learning virtually. RISE provides space, supervision, technology, meals, or some combination of all to these distant learners while our kids are out of school. and we appreciate them so much for opening their doors in communities in our city so our young people have the opportunity to learn during this time. The city helped to coordinate the distribution of more than 150 Apple and PC computers to these churches and these faith institutions to help students. And we really appreciate the Savannah College of Art and Design, Dr. Paula Wallace, and their team for partnering with us and providing us this much needed state-of-the-art equipment. Next slide. With our efforts to include the Savannah's Hispanic population, I have seen prejudice toward another group of people in our community. And this is not some fringe element. These are 7,000 of our friends, neighbors, teachers, nurses, police officers, and they just happen to be Hispanic or Latino. But more importantly, they deserve to feel respected and welcome. It's shameful for anyone to admonish them for using their native language. We can and we will do better. OLA Savannah, or Hispanic Outreach, Leadership, and Advocacy, is already working on connecting Savannah's Hispanic residents, to needed services. They've also started coordinating English as a second language courses for those in our area who need them. Regardless of where you're from, if you live in Savannah, mi casa is su casa. Next slide, please. Keeping our community safe is one of the main services you all likely expect. That is why I joined Everytown for Gun Safety's Mayors Against Illegal Guns Coalition on January 1st, 2020, immediately after being sworn in as Savannah's 67th mayor. This bipartisan group includes more than 1,000 current and former mayors from the smallest towns to the biggest cities in nearly every state. As mayors, our problem may look different from town to town, but we are united to do everything we can to protect our residents from the threat of gun violence. And I think you can all agree that we have a little too much gun violence in our community. No, I'm not trying to take by anybody's Second Amendment rights, and no, I'm not trying to keep guns out of the hand of lawful gun owners. But we can agree that when guns are in the hands of those who should not have them, we know that's trouble. That's trouble for our law enforcement. That's trouble for our community. So I'm a proud member of Mayors Against Illegal Guns. Next slide, please. Public safety is also the focus of Savannah Fire Department, one of only 98 ISO 1-ranked fire departments in America, but they're also prioritizing the health and safety of their own. This year, the department developed a cancer reduction initiative and received a $937,000 assistance to firefighters grant from FEMA. It is the largest grant they've ever received to date. Since 2001, this grant has helped firefighters and other first responders obtain and receive life-saving fire safety lessons digitally. The department also received a $5,000 grant to enhance its virtual fire safety program. Overall, they've achieved a 17% decrease in structure fires since last year. Guess what? You could also see their professionalism and effectiveness every Friday and Saturday night on the national television series Live Rescue. And I know a lot of you have already seen them. So our fire department, they're superstars. We're proud to partner with A&E Network to showcase the excellent men and women of Savannah Fire. Next slide, please. The Savannah Police Department is one of 135 departments accredited by the Georgia Law Enforcement Certification Program out of 740 police agencies in the state. SPD is one of 729 departments in the U.S. and just 45 agencies in Georgia accredited by what's called CALEA, the Commission of Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies, which is the gold standard in law enforcement. SPD continues to work toward its goal of reimagining policing and finding ways to address quality of life issues without utilizing enforcement when it is not necessary. And we've already started. The SPD Behavioral Health Unit is the newest addition to the department and consists of specially trained officers and medical staff who respond to police calls involving individuals in crisis or with substance abuse issues. This unit consists of 2 non-uniformed SPD officers, and a licensed clinician who will ride in the car with the officers 2 days a week. The clinician will also be available by phone or telemedicine if she is not physically present. The BHU will respond to calls involving opioids or substance abuse, mental health crises, or suicide, and they will assist with calls regarding homeless or disorderly conduct. We don't think people need to be in jail just because they don't have a home or because they have an issue. The goal is to decriminalize substance abuse and mental health struggles while simultaneously reducing the number of individuals dealing with these issues entering the criminal justice system when other alternatives could address the underlying problem. In addition, the Savannah Police Department officially introduced a revamped Community Service Officer program in September. Community service officers are non-sworn SPD staff members who can go to non-emergency calls and take reports. The CSO allows patrol officers to take additional time performing proactive policing to combat crime in the city. SPD also obtained a grant to add 15 additional police officers to our force. The department expanded use of technology as a crime-fighting tool with the expansion of internet cameras, portable fingerprint scanners, a real-time crime center, and automated license plate readers. In August, the City Council approved the department to purchase new e-citation software, allowing officers to write tickets electronically instead of manually. So please, don't run any red lights, stop at all stop signs, and don't speed in the city of Savannah. This new technology will help with SPD's efficiency, allowing officers more opportunity to engage in proactive policing and decrease the time officers and drivers are on the side of the road. SPD's Planning and Technology Unit is working to get the software up for our patrol officers by the spring of 2021. This year, violent crime is down 1%, and property crime is down 26%. Overall, Part 1 crime has decreased by 21% this year, and so far in 2020, there have been 133 gun arrests. Now, this is still not acceptable to us. We're making some progress, but we're not making it enough, and we're not making it as fast as our citizens deserve. But we are working on it. Next slide, please. We can't talk about public safety without talking about public health. A healthier environment promotes a better quality of life for our residents, and Savannah is taking progressive steps to make this city safer for everyone. In March, our city council quickly and unanimously passed the 100% clean renewable energy resolution. It focuses on racial and social equity as we develop a just and regenerative plan for our energy transition. The goals of this resolution are ambitious. We agree that all electricity consumed within the Savannah city limits will be from clean, renewable energy sources by 2035. This includes city operations and community-wide energy consumption. All other energy forms consumed within the incorporated city of Savannah will be from clean and renewable energy sources by 2050. And the city of Savannah is going to lead in this. We will first start by focusing on households with the highest energy burden first, meaning those households with the largest amount of household income that spend on heating and cooling their homes. And in Savannah, this is disproportionately African-American households. So we have a lot of work to do. Some ideas we'll try to implement are community-wide weatherization and energy efficiency programs, solar design and installation programs, improving efficiency in city facilities, building alternative transportation networks, including trails, sidewalks, and improved mass transit, and transitioning ultimately to electric vehicles. These improvements can lead to countless opportunities to benefit the health and well-being of Savannahans. We'll provide cleaner air, water, and soil. We'll be promoting active and healthy transportation and recreation. We'll be creating and promoting a green economy, which creates new job opportunities, providing our community the opportunity to learn new, lucrative skills to improve wages and livelihoods. And We will be reducing the impacts of climate change on our coastal community to become more economically, socially, and environmentally resilient. It will take policy change and partnership to achieve these goals, but I believe that our city and those who live here are not only ready for it, but will be better for it. Next slide, please. We were able to achieve all of this dealing with a global pandemic. The city's response to COVID-19 has been nothing short of Herculean, while ensuring that we continued to deliver essential services while keeping staff and the public safe. On March the 21st, Savannah's local state of emergency order went into effect, implementing strict measures intended to slow the pace of the COVID-19 outbreak and expanding upon the state's order. And we want to thank our essential workers. We want to thank our police officers and our firefighters. We certainly want to thank our sanitation teams. We want to thank those that dealt in our water and all of our city employees who stepped up during this time to make sure that our services went uninterrupted. Savannah was the first city in Georgia to mandate masks on July the 1st, and we've received a lot of heat about that. But local health officials credit this order with helping to keep the virus from spreading uncontrollably throughout the summer. We now know that masks are the way to help us get through this. Health professionals from across the country says that a mask is actually more effective than a vaccine. So please, wear your mask and wear them if you're in the city of Savannah. In July, the city partnered with the Coastal Health District to provide a county-wide COVID-19 testing site at the Savannah Civic Center. Free walk-up and drive-through testing is available without an appointment and to expand access to COVID-19 testing in our city. The Savannah Police and Fire Departments have been essential in coordinating the day-to-day operations at the site. We are one community and we have to work together. Next slide, please. Additionally, the city of Savannah was blessed when we partnered with New York State and Governor Andrew Cuomo to establish 2 COVID-19 testing sites in virus hotspots. Testing was held at the Temple of Glory Community Church, where Bishop Matthew Odom is the pastor, and Kingdom Life Christian Fellowship, where Pastor Charles Robeson is the pastor, both in highly impacted minority communities. These sites provided up to 500 tests per day, thanks to the expertise and resources from Somos Community Care and Northwell Health. And this cost us relatively nothing. New York State also provided Savannah with hundreds of thousands of supplies, including testing kits, which we've donated to the Curtis Cooper Primary Health Center and the J.C. Lewis Primary Health Center, so that they're able to continue testing, surgical masks, face shields, and hand sanitizer. Love is an action word, and we thank New York State, my state of birth, for loving Savannah. Next slide, please. Our marketing communications teams created COVID-19 graphics, posters, banners, web pages, videos, and news releases. You see them all over the place to quickly and effectively share essential information with businesses, the public, and local media. Next slide, please. Our purchasing department acquired and distributed 45,000 face masks. The city's COVID resource team handed out thousands of masks while providing gentle reminders about the need for face coverings and social distancing. Thank you, purchasing department. Thank you so much. Also, our COVID response team. Our risk management team is responsible for coordinating our city's staff COVID-19 testing program, which has tested more than 1,000 employees, including yours truly, provided temperature checking stations in all city buildings and sanitizing facilities. Thank you, risk management. Our information technology department rapidly found new ways to implement new technology to allow 70% of city staff to work remotely. And they also manage, moderate, and support Zoom meetings for city council, community, and special interest groups. Thank you, information technology department. Next slide, please. During the pandemic, our Human Services Department distributed more than 5,100 senior meals and almost 1,160 senior care packages and 36,000 youth meals. Additionally, when the Emmaus House Soup Kitchen closed because of COVID-19, the city of Savannah stepped up to fund 400 daily meals that the Salvation Army distributed to homeless camps. Thank you, Human Services, and thank you, City of Savannah. Municipal Archives enhanced online educational resources for students, including Archives Alive programs, to introduce students in 1st to 12th grades, and some of us a little older than that, to the archives and primary records, youth scavenger hunts, activity sheets, and coloring pages. They transitioned the in-person Hungry for History online and increased the audience from 281 in 2019 to 1,700 just this year. Thank you, archive team. Next slide, please. Savannah Fire maintained all emergency services without disruption by implementing a new public contact procedure and adjusted their approach to medical calls to ensure safe interaction between patients and firefighters. They implemented daily screenings to limit firefighter exposure to the virus and a rotational disinfection schedule of stations and apparatuses. The Savannah Fire Department also helped the city obtain, disseminate, and track all COVID-19 related logistics for reimbursement through the CARES Act. Thanks again, the Fire Department. And in March, the Savannah Police Department implemented the Remote Report Center, or the RRC, to effectively decrease police contact with citizens while still offering personable service. The RRC is comprised of officers who can intercept calls for service and take non-emergency reports over the phone or through video conferencing. More than 3,000 calls for service has filtered through the center through its inception. Next slide, please. And I'm grateful because despite the pandemic, the city followed a conservative course with its finances and avoided any furloughs or layoffs. It was important to us as a council that we were able to maintain our city team because all of them in some way or another provides an essential service. The city remains financially strong. We maintain, in the midst of this, a AA+ bond rating, which is the strongest in Savannah's history. And our required comprehensive annual financial report found no material weakness after the audit, and that was good news. Savannah partnered with the Georgia Municipal Association on a new audit program for telecommunication companies, helping the city recover $230,000 in new fees to date. Your city council approved the guaranteed maximum price on the Savannah Arena. Known as the GMP, this contract obligates construction of the single largest project in the city's history to stay within its $165 million budget. This arena is scheduled to open in early 2022, and our timeline today remains on track despite the pandemic. And the city of Savannah, your city council, adopted the rollback millage rate for the second consecutive year, a feat not accomplished in 12 years. So for the last 2 years, your city taxes have gone down. Next slide, please. Despite all of these accomplishments, I would not be transparent if I did not tell you that we still face some challenges. The city council continues a search for Savannah's next permanent city manager. While the council narrowed a nationwide pool of applicants to the top 3, we could not reach consensus on a single candidate. This decision is the most important decision we will make for the future of this organization and for the city. We must make the right choice and not just a choice to be finished with the process. So we're going to take our time and we're going to do it right. That being said, Pat Monahan has provided a steady hand and he's led this organization with knowledge, with integrity for the last 18 months. We are grateful for his leadership and we will miss him when he retires at the beginning of next month. But I have a funny feeling that Pat Monahan won't be too far away. Besides, I have his wife's cell phone number, so I'll call her. But as much of a beast as Pat Monahan was, we're grateful, we're blessed. We've been able to get Michael Brown, who's another beast, to serve as interim city manager while we search for a long-term leader. We are thankful that Mr. Brown is willing to help guide our organization during this time. While we have been fiscally responsible throughout the pandemic, we are still facing budgetary constraints and revenue shortfalls due to COVID-19. Departments were asked to reduce their budgets for the current fiscal year by 1 to 3%. The city manager and our awesome budget team has been working diligently to ensure that we can continue to provide quality services while saving money where we can. We're trying to find solutions for workspace for city staff so we can move them out of rented buildings. The fact of the matter is for us is that we're spending too much in rent. So we're going to start moving city staff into buildings that the city owns so we don't have to pay rent to anybody. Drainage, roadway capacity, and other infrastructure challenges continuously need improvement. And yes, we know that our city still floods. We have a lot of rain in a short period of time. We know that our streets are in dire need of repair. Our sidewalks need to be improved. We know we have striping that needs to be done, and we know that we have potholes that need to be filled. That's not Savannah, but we're going to do better. As arena construction moves forward, we need to inspire the development of the overall canal district, which does not exist yet, to support the arena and ensure that these projects bring a needed economic boost to the west side. And as the city council works to tackle homelessness, we're still working through difficulties related to our transitional services at the Dundee Village. The project has been delayed because we need to connect certain facilities to water and sewer, and we ran into some site and surveying issues that are being addressed. And of course, we're still continuing to find our way through the COVID-19 world. Next slide. It's been a busy and extraordinary year. None of us could have predicted or expected the challenges that we faced. I could not have expected when we raised our hands on January the 2nd that little short than 2 months later, we would be in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. I looked, it's not in the mayor's playbook. I mean, it was just no way to figure out that this was going to happen. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that Savannah would have been in this situation? Who would have thought that our world would be how it is? But I hope that you see, it's been 9 months. It's been 20 days. But your city council has risen to the occasion. We're doing the best we can with the hand we are dealt, with what we have, keeping our citizens, our employees, and our stakeholders in mind. This does not happen by accident. And I want to tell you all that this presentation today and the work is a result of a lot of great people working together for many hours, and I thank them. I thank them. I thank my team, my deputy assistant, Marty Johnston, my executive assistants, Sharante Turner and Edith Gregory, my director of mayoral security, Sergeant Billy Gray. I thank them because you call them a lot and you email them a lot. And I appreciate the professionalism by which they do this. I also want to thank the city manager and his team, a lot of wonderful people. I want to thank all of our chiefs. And I definitely want to thank our awesome and outstanding city employees, again, who day in, day out, they get up, they go to work, they make it happen. Do me a favor. The next time you see a city employee picking up your trash or working in their parks, helping keep our cities beautiful, wearing a badge, fighting a fire, the next time you pay a bill, or you see somebody checking your water, tell them thank you. Believe it or not, we pay them well, but not as well as we probably should. But I bet you that thank you would mean the world to them. And I definitely want to thank our public communication office. I want to thank Nick Zola, Amanda LeBron, Wayne Nix, Carol Miller, Ken Slats, Chris Parrish, because these folks, they're beasts. And they've been working diligently with us to help us make that happen. So thank you. I really do appreciate it. We've come a long way, but we still have further to go. But when everyone is at the table, our trajectory is limitless. Our reality is this. Savannah's been around for 287 years, and we're still here. My faith tells me that we'll make it through this, even if we don't know how we're going to make it through it or when it's going to end. But I know Savannah will make it through it because we're Savannah strong. And we're Savannah strong because we show Savannah love. And we do this every single day by looking after our neighbors and looking after each other. And I've seen the ability of Savannahans to show love and show compassion and show care. I've seen it. I've seen how you've encouraged each other and lifted everybody up. And if there's a need, we step in and we make it happen. We look after seniors and we look after kids. That's what Savannah is all about. I'm not worried about the haters. They have their job to do. But for you, Savannah, the fact of the matter is we are who we are because of you. We are who we are. And what we will be is because of you. Savannah has everything we need. We have the most awesome people in the world. We have the strongest people in the world. And guess what? The world knows it. The world sees it. And they're watching to see how Savannah acts. And Savannah is leading. And we're showing people how to keep the faith, but to follow the science. Please, wear your mask. Watch your distance. And please, wash your hands. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless the city of Savannah.